everyone. Welcome back to an amazing agent success video with a very special guest, Bonita Wilson. And she is going to be sharing how she is using AI to transform real estate for her business and for other realtors. Bonita, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate you. This is such an honor to be on your channel because I've admired you for years. So
Thank you,
thank you for
Bonita.
having me.
That's amazing. And me likewise as well. I've been really enjoying everything that you're doing with AI, and it's inspiring me to step up my game with AI. So I'm excited to unveil some of the things you're working on now. For people that don't know you, would you give us a little background of how you got into real estate and give us a little intro on yourself?
Oh, well, that's a crazy story. My dad was a real estate broker, and my sister was an agent for about 18 years. And so they kept, trying to push me to get into real estate. So I actually got my license like three different times and never sold a house.
Okay.
So then my dad passed away and my sister quit. And then I said, you know what? Let me just do it. So I got my license in 2014, I believe. And I was with a couple independent brokers, and I just felt like they thought because I was an attorney, I would automatically know what to do. And I'm like, but I've never sold a house before. So I quit those brokers. They just threw me in. Here, go do it. And I was like, no, I'm a learn girl. I need to learn and I need to know all the things before I do anything. And Mike has actually helped me get out of that procrastination, imposter syndrome phase that I went through. So I said, well, I need to go somewhere where they have a lot of training. I just need all the training before I feel comfortable. So I joined a international brokerage and loved it for like 5 years. And
Mm.
then COVID hit. So when COVID hit, I have asthma. I was deathly afraid of getting COVID. I didn't leave my house for like 9 months. And then it was like, okay, now I'm running out. All my savings are gone. I got to do something. So I decided, okay, what can I do where I don't have to talk to people? And so I said I'm gonna write a book on social media. I'm gonna extend my brand and my business using social media. I'm a Gen Xer. I just turned 60 on Saturday. I'm gonna help people my age feel more comfortable on camera because I went down kicking and screaming on the internet, the social media. I wasn't on Facebook until like 2014, and I only got on Facebook to stalk my kids. I didn't start my Instagram account until like 2019. So I said, I'm just going to write this book. So I wrote this book on social media for Gen Xers and baby boomers, and it did pretty well. And I said, okay, let me get into this thing a little bit more because, I like to know what I'm doing before I start talking. And I went down the YouTube rabbit hole and I found Mike Sherrard. And so I binged watched Mike for hours and hours, and it was all about social media, just fascinated, like literally pinned to the computer. And then I ran across an EXP video, and I
Mm.
was like, wait a minute. I had heard about EXP back in 2017 because a lot of our agents, top producers were leaving my brokerage to go there. And my team leader said, one day I walked into the team meeting on Tuesday morning, I'll never forget it. And I said, where did this person go? And where did that person go? Because they weren't in the meeting. She said, oh, they left to go to EXP, but they'll be back when they get tired of paying all those fees. And everybody that knows me knows I'm the free 99 girl. So if you say fees, I'm running the other way. But I'm also a person who doesn't take what people say at face value. And so I always like to do my own research, and I just didn't have the time. So
Mm.
I just dismissed it and I didn't do my homework, which is the biggest mistake I think I've ever made in my life. Because if I had done the research, I would have joined EXP in 2017 and it would have been a whole different story. But we are where we are when we're supposed to be there.
Mhm.
So I booked a call with Mike, and he was the person who answered came on the Zoom. I wasn't expecting that. And he answered all my questions. And then, of course, I had another stream of questions. I sent him like a long email with like 21 different more questions. But I said, if what you're telling me is true, I'm coming because this was a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer. And I said, but I had in the back of my head, if it doesn't work out, I can just go back to my brokerage. And I'm still here after 5 years. But so that's how I stumbled upon just really real estate. And then I went to the Social Agent Academy and I tripled my business in like 6 months. It was like, wow. And if go back and look at my feed, I was closing houses every 5 minutes. It was crazy.
Mhm.
And that's how I ended up here.
Wow, what an incredible story. You come from real estate line, with your dad and your sister, so you were seeing it all, it was part of your life the whole time. And it's interesting to hear how then you were like, okay, now I'm gonna do it. And I'm sure they were trying to encourage you back then to get into it, right?
They did, and like I said, I got my license twice before, held on to it. I was paying all those fees and wasn't selling anything, wasn't trying to sell anything. And then after a couple years, I said, you know what? I'm never going to do anything. I let it go, and then it lapsed, and then you got to start all over again. I did that 3 times.
Ah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Well, that's a great testimony, because it just goes like, just because you do something one time and it doesn't pan out or it doesn't turn into anything, it doesn't mean that it's never going to happen. I actually got my real estate license when I was 18.
Oh, wow.
And yes, and so, I would sell one house and then not work for like 3 months, like it was just, and then I started having kids and like I always loved real estate, but real estate is your own business, like it's not just like a regular job or I always laugh when realtors, like new realtors would join the office and they'd be like, "So where do we get the customers?" And I'm like,
You got to go find them.
"Sweetie, sweetie." So it's a lot of people, it's an easy bar to get into to get your license, right? So
Mhm.
there's a lot of people jump in. But then when the rubber meets the road on like kind of what it all takes to be successful, that's where, people can sometimes not pan out. And I love that about your story that you went back and did it again and you went back and did it again. And now you have a beautiful career ahead of you, a beautiful trajectory, like completely change your life, So it's always like I believe in that. Like it's not over. If it's not done, you're not finished.
Right, right,
And
right.
and so that's so awesome. So that's how we got to know each other was through the wolf pack.
Hmm.
And like you as well, I found Mike going down the rabbit hole on YouTube. I think we all find him there.
Hmm.
And like you, I also wasn't on social media, and that's so interesting, right? From your generation,
Hmm.
like even I think of myself, is it's hard to imagine a world where there wasn't social media and there wasn't internet. Like you were totally lived in it more than even I did. And I'm even like, oh my gosh, did that actually happen? Was that a part of our society where we didn't have internet?
I was 35 years old before I got my first cell phone and my first laptop, and I was in
Isn't
law
that
school.
hilarious
Yeah.
to think
I
of?
remember the rotary dial phone with the long cord that spiraled, and you got to talk on the phone, and then your dad could pick up the phone and listen to your conversation. You know,
Oh my gosh.
yeah,
I
fax
remember I
machine.
remember I remember calling like a movie line
Hmm.
so that my friends would call me, the phone wouldn't ring. So
Yeah.
funny, right? Wow. And
I was before
it-
call waiting.
oh
Where
my
you
gosh.
dial the phone and it was busy. Yeah.
And I mean, that's a true inspiration. That is a true inspiration because there's a lot of people, your age, like you said, that they put it off, like, and you can be a phenomenal realtor, right? You
Mhm.
be very trustworthy, know how to negotiate, know how to like have the knowledge, geographical knowledge of an area, like do the real estate job. And unfortunately, the way that, well, you could say it either way, unfortunately or fortunately, right? But the way that the world is moving, you've got to get on this bus, you
Yeah, you
know?
have to.
You have to, because if you don't get on the social media, the internet, the AI, which you're already in fifth dimension now, okay? The AI, you're gonna get left behind, you know?
Mhm.
And maybe people look at it and say, oh, that's for younger people, but you're here today saying, hey, I just celebrated my 60th birthday and I created my own chat GPT and she has her own AI, guys. Okay. So I did verify this is the real Bonita
It's me.
before we got into it. But so tell me now a little bit. So you got with you started working in the Social Aging Academy. Tell me about what that success looked like. What were you experiencing? What did you start doing, and how did you start getting a lot of deals?
Well, I'll tell you, like I said, when I started with the Social Agent Academy, my business tripled. Like in the first 6 months, I mean, I was getting calls from Facebook and Instagram. People, I sold a house to a girl I went to high school with 40 years ago who found me on Facebook from just being present and being there. I've gotten referrals from Facebook and Instagram. And then I started my YouTube channel and I started getting leads from YouTube. And I'm older, but I don't prefer the old traditional real estate techniques, lead generation techniques. I did them, but I hated them. Like I would do the cold calling and it was so just difficult that I swear that phone weighed 1,000 pounds and I would get up and I gotta call again. I did the door knocking. I like door knocking better than making the phone calls, but that was the only way you could get business. Direct mail was too expensive. And as I already told you, I'm the free 99 girl. And direct mail was a long game. So I didn't want to do that. I did the open houses, which worked very successfully, but this social media that Mike just opened my whole world up to, I just was like, wow. A guy called me, called me from a video I did, a community tour. And I said, I'm going to do videos on the top 10 neighborhoods to live in New Orleans. And I made video number one. A guy called me and he said, wow, what a great video. I want to buy a house in that neighborhood. And then he said, but when are you going to make the other nine videos? And I'm like, they will hold you to, hold your feet to the fire. And I sold him a $375,000 house from a video,
Wow.
and then another video, and then another call. I've sold a house to a guy from Iowa, and I live in Louisiana. A lady from Washington called me, and I answered the phone, and she was like, honey, it's the famous lady. Like, I'm like, what? She was like, I did not expect you to answer the call. But hey, listen, my daughter's moving to Louisiana and I want to come down and I want to buy a house. So she flew down, we looked around, and then she didn't buy, but she told her daughter to use me. So I sold her daughter a house. It's just been amazing. And then I stopped making the videos, and then the phone kind of stopped ringing a little bit. But then a couple months ago, I got a phone call from a lady in North Carolina, and she said, hey, I saw your video about this community on the North Shore. I want to live there. My husband's in the military. We're relocating. He just got transferred. His orders are in New Orleans, but we don't want to live in New Orleans. We want to live outside of the city limits. I want to live there. I made that video 3 years ago. And so when I go and look at my analytics, I'm like, you know what? This video got 10,000 views. That was 10,000 phone calls I didn't have to make. Every time somebody watches a video, that's a phone call I didn't have to make. And it's prospecting for me 24/7. And that's another thing I love about AI is because now I have AI answer my phone where I'm a human, I can only take one phone call at a time, but AI can take all the calls at one time. So
Hmm.
it's just really been fascinating.
Wow, and that's incredible, you know. And so I'm a cold caller, you know, so I'm like, come
Mhm.
on, Anita, let me show you how to cold call. But But every cold caller will admit they would love to just have their phone ring from
Hmm.
a customer calling them,
Right.
right? And
And I don't have to convince anybody to work with me.
mm,
Right? So when they call me, they already want to work with me. I don't have to go on the listing appointments anymore and convince them to use me over the next person. I can't tell you the last time I've had a listing appointment,
mhm,
and I just got 4 listings last week without having to do an appointment because they
that
already know, like, and trust you. They've gone down your rabbit hole and they've, watched your content and they already want to work with you. That business is yours to lose.
yes, yes. And that's what I've been experiencing. So I've been on YouTube more for realtors, like attracting realtors,
Mhm,
not so much. I have gotten a couple business from my YouTube and my website, but not as much as you. I haven't had as much, I guess, because I put more stuff out for agents than I actually do for, because I'm a cold caller. Like that's
mhm,
just like what I do. I've been doing that a long time. Um, but it does fascinate me to hear yourself and many other members in the group, just talk about how, when people call me, I experience it from the agent side. So when people call me, they're like, I've already watched all your videos,
mhm,
like,
mhm.
Carolyn, I'm totally with you. Like, I think the same way you think. And it's like so interesting. So it's like, well, this is the first time we've ever talked,
Yeah, yeah.
but because they actually get to know you, they
Right.
get to know your personality. Like, and I think being a realtor or even in a coaching capacity, it's a personal thing, right? Like,
Mhm,
you have to click with your realtor. You have to like your realtor, their
mhm.
personality. If
You wanna know what's funny? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
that's the thing.
Is that the people who don't click with your personality and don't like you will not call you. You found your tribe. The people who say, "Oh my God, that's not a person for me," they will not call you.
Exactly.
The beauty of it.
That is a blessing,
Yeah,
right?
that
Because
is a
how
blessing.
many realtors, with their honest, will say that they have worked with clients that they've absolutely could not stand. Like,
Mhm.
it's one of those closings where you're like, okay, goodbye. Like, I am not following up with you again.
And I have not had those, and the funny thing is, I'm gonna read this to you. I just got this text message last weekend. Um, all of my clients are now just family to me. And this was last Saturday. Hey, good morning, Miss Bonita. I made some jerk chicken and pork. Are you in the area? Would love for you to come by and pick up a plate. That's from
Oh,
a client that I sold a house to. You
that's
know, they're my family. Once, they come into my orbit, I
mhm.
mean, it's like I don't know, because of that connection that they already know and love me and want to work with me, then we continue the relationship. And they come back and they come back and they come back. I sold a house to a couple in Italy with 5 kids and they wanted the unicorn house, and I found this unicorn house. It was like just a blessing from God. But they reached out to me and they said, "Listen, we're moving to the States, we're moving to Louisiana. We need a house." That they needed at least 4 bedrooms because they had 5 kids at that time. Now they have 7 kids. So,
Wow. Big
yeah.
family.
But the mom was a homeschooler. So she said, we need a separate living, like a den or a family room area for homeschooling. They needed their normal family room hangout area. They wanted a dining room where, it would seat at least 10 people for guests to come over. They wanted an island. They wanted like a bar where at least 3 of the kids could sit up at the counter while mom is cooking. She wanted the kitchen facing the backyard so she can watch the kids while she washed dishes. The husband,
Wow, a lot of
let
stuff.
me let me tell you, this is the craziest story ever. The husband needed a separate dedicated home office because he worked remotely sometimes. She wanted a laundry room that was the size of a bedroom because she said she spent a lot of time in there and she needed to be comfortable. And when I tell you I found this house, This house had been on the market for 5 years because it was too personalized and nobody wanted it. And it
Incredible.
was $450,000. But that's the power of the internet, you know?
That's incredible, Bonita.
And and now they're looking to move again because they've had two more kids. And they called me back.
That's beautiful. That
Yeah.
is so beautiful. And hearing your story, it's like, aren't you so glad you kept went back and got your real estate license again and again?
I am because I love, I mean, just helping people. You know, some people might think that we're salesmen, but we're not. We're consultants. We are uh business strategist, we're their counselor, we help them with their, financial journey by referring them to the proper people. I mean, we just do so much more than just open doors and collect a check. People see that and they think, "Oh, wow, your job is so easy." It's simple, but it's not easy, you know.
Yeah, I always say that you're like part of a family, like the inner workings for like 3 months, like you're in the inner
Yeah.
code of that family, you
Yeah.
know. So take us through now, because I know everybody's now like, that's it, Bonita. I'm getting on YouTube. You've motivated me. You know, I feel motivated. Um, Tell me what that journey looks like starting from day one, from filming the videos to editing videos to then when you actually would get your first call. Like, what does that journey look like for someone brand new starting off?
So when I first started off with my channel, it was a long haul, a long journey. I started with my iPhone. I still use my iPhone. I've never bought a DSLR camera. I still use my iPhone, or I use Zoom. I have this lighting that's getting a little hot in here, but I don't have any of the fancy equipment. And then, so I filmed my videos on Zoom. I was editing them myself using iMovie. And then I was getting my B-roll from Canva. And then I was using the captions app to put the captions on it. It was a long process. And it started taking me longer to create the background of the video than actually filming the video. Like it took me 3 days to edit a 9-minute video. And I was like, that's it. So then I hired somebody to start doing my editing for me. And then I was able to just create the raw footage, send it off to them, and then they take care of it. And at that time, it was taking anyway from 3 days to 4 days for them to get it edited and get it back to me. And then I'd look at it and say, oh, maybe fix this, fix this, fix that. So it was taking about a week to get a video out. And then I would say it took me probably 6 months before I got my first call. But
Mhm.
I was putting the videos out, every week, every week. You just have to be in it forever. You can't say, oh, if it doesn't work out, then I'm going to quit. You just have to be in the long game. Either you want the success or you don't.
Mhm.
Okay. And then, but now I created my AI avatar. And so the barrier, I think, to most people about creating the videos is putting on the makeup and getting dressed, and you have to look perfect. Your hair's got to be done. And so you're always getting ready to get ready to never get the video done.
Mhm.
So I say now, every time I get dressed up and put makeup on, I create a new avatar because I'm going, I'm getting dressed up anyway. It takes me 3 minutes to make the video for my new avatar, and then I create two per outfit. So I'll do one that's landscape, and then I'll do one that's vertical. And then that's done. So it took me 6 minutes to film two videos, and then I upload those videos to HeyGen. It's a platform called HeyGen. And if you want me to share my screen and show you, I can. Do you want me to share my screen?
Um, you don't have to show it. Yeah, well, I'm gonna put your link down below.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
because I watched that video of yours
Mhm.
and it was very, very enticing. I'm
Mhm.
like, after this interview with Bonita, I think I'm gonna go hang out on Hagen.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'll put the link in the video that they can see the whole tutorial because it was wonderful what you did. You
Okay. Okay.
walked me through the entire process.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so I created my HeyGen avatars, And then I went to ChatGPT, and I was initially saying to ChatGPT, create me a video about the top 5 reasons to live in New Orleans. And it would create the video. And then I would record the video. And then I said, okay, create the short form video for the short video to go with that one. And I would do that. And then I said, okay, now give me the title of the video. Okay. And you go through the reiterations of the different forms until you find one. Okay, now I need the description. And I was going back and forth. And I was like, wait, I can just create a custom GPT using AI to create what I call my content creator YouTube package. And then all I have to do now is go into my GPT and say, hey, listen, I want to create a video about the top 5 reasons that you should never move to New Orleans. It'll create the video long form script. It creates the short form script. It creates the title, the description title, the thumbnail title, which should be different. It creates the captions. It creates the channel tags, the video tags, not the channel tags, but the video tags, the hashtags. And then I always post in the YouTube community. It's kind of like Facebook. It'll create the community post for me with the recommended image for that. It'll create the thumbnail title and the thumbnail prompt, which I can take the prompt and drop it into a platform called Lovable or Pixels, and it will create the thumbnail for me. So now I don't have to take the expression shots. You know how we used to do, I mean, literally, like for every video, you got to take all the expression shots. And I don't have to do that anymore. So I just created my persona in Pixels and it just uploads and creates the thumbnails for me. I mean, it just, and then all I do is upload the video. Oh, let me back up. So after I create my